Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ocean's Pit, a little show about big things, Monday through Friday at noon, little lunchtime fun. We got a great show lined up for you today, folks. My good friend Terry Newsom will be joining us, fellow podcaster, and this guy has got, boy, he's got his hands in everything, and it's going to be great, some of the stories and stuff that he's going to be talking about with me. Anyway, before Terry's and we start doing some stuff with that, first check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com. Give us a call at 877-669-8609 to book a show. Every show is dedicated to the first responders, the men and women in the military. Let's not forget our veterans who fought for our country and making it great again. We want to thank you all for watching. It's a good time. We'll have some fun. So let's get right to it with our good friends to kick off the show, of course, as we Yeah, there you go. My good friends from 7th Heaven. Thank you for that, guys. It's Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Hey, let's get right to business, of course. We got to talk about our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, folks. All great locations: Norridge, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, Warrenville, Mesa, Arizona, Richmond, and more. Ace will always take care of all your great deals. Always remember, Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Our good friends from Ace. I want to thank everybody that showed up last night, ladies and gentlemen, to Zaza's in Lake Barrington. What a great little turnout that was. It's the first show there in 2020. I need to thank, it was like a little pre-cruise party. I want to thank my good friend Michael and Jeff and Patrice, former Chicago Honey Bear. Of course, we want to thank Jerry and Craig and Wendy and Daryl, of course. Great job that you did. Tonight we'll be at the Bocce International Club in Highwood, Illinois. That's a private event. That's a 8 o'clock hit with the main event band. And tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy in St. Charles. Saturday, we'll be with the band at 8:30, and Sunday will be there a solo at 30. Go to oshows.com and get tickets. Guys, real fast before we bring Terry, guys, 7 days. 7 days is all we're left, folks. So the NTD Vacation Chicago Music Cruise number 3 will be on the MSC World America, January 17th to January 24th. Tony Ocean and the main band and 7th Heaven. That's right, 7-night Western Caribbean cruise, Miami, Honduras, Costa Maya, Cozumel, and Ocean Cay. If you want to jump on the wagon, come out, join us, chicagomusiccruise.com, and put a Tony Ocean or better the phone and call Mary at 630-688-1725. That's NTD Vacations, the Chicago Music Cruise. It's our 3rd with 7th Heaven. It's going to be a great time. Terry is in the house. Terry, how you doing, buddy? And welcome to Ocean's Pit.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on your show, Tony.
You know what? You got yourself. Now, what would you call yourself, Terry? I know what you do during the day, but with your podcast and everything that you're doing, what would you call besides, are you an analyst, a political type analyst in one way? I can say that too. You've been through almost a lot of the major events that's been happening in the last couple of years. You've been part of or been involved with or been to and stuff like that. So what would you call yourself?
I would say crazy podcaster, but I've been called, like, on some of the bigger shows, they say investigative journalist, which I'm kind of like flattered to be called that.
Okay.
I'm just on the Southwest side. I got involved because of our children and our country and saw the direction. And, I have the show, like, very similar to yours, different variety types of guests, and try to expose all the corruption that's going on. I mean, God, I hosted the New York Post reporter came to Chicago on the Tren de Largo and the Venezuelans. And she said, why isn't anyone, like, the big media outlets covering all this craziness in Chicago? There's so much to cover. And right. I mean, it's very rare. So I'm trying to expose the all these crazy things that are happening, from the radical Marxist Democrats through the rhino Republicans and the corruption and Pritzker and Johnson and everything, trying to at least expose it to represent us, your audience, and what's going on here, because a lot of people don't know how bad it really is outside of a clip here and there.
Well, yeah, and of course, it also depends on what media you watch or what media you listen to. If you watch CNN or if you watch this, they'll tell you one story. If it's something, I remember back in the day, you listened to whoever it was, Cronkite, whoever it was one guy, two guys, and whatever they said, channel 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, whatever they said, you took the word for it. And then, of course, the whole world kind of changed. Terry, before we get into the business stuff, real fast, where were you born, buddy?
I was, originally in Chicago. My dad worked for the city of Chicago. So, when I was little, we lived in the city. And then my dad, how you're supposed to stay in the city limits. We, 88th and Colon, we were just south of the Chicago border to go to the Oakland, go to the public schools outside the suburbs. So I grew up in the Southwest Side, Italian American, all Democrat, union family. That's all I knew. I was never active until 4 years ago. Never active. I just assumed I was a Democrat just because of how I was raised in the union and my uncles and all that stuff, and was never, ever involved in politics. I got remarried. You performed at my wedding with my wife, Carrie, and I, which was honored as well. And I got remarried. We have twins that just graduated high school this year. When they were starting Downers Grove South High School, they had the porn, the drag queens. I was like, oh my God. And I thought that, objecting to that stuff would be bipartisan, everybody. And it wasn't. I was shocked. I was shocked. And I have nothing against gay people at all. I mean, I actually, some of the things I've done was with Gays Against Groomers, Log Cabin Republic, all gay organizations. And I've been labeled as, I hate gay people. I hate everything, all because I just said, I don't want porn in my child's schools. That's it. And I became it kind of launched me into the spotlight. The Chicago Sun-Times did 3 full pages, Tom, with the front page of my school board meeting. And it says Proud Boys took over school board. And what I did, I tried to get fathers from Downers Grove to help me hold the posters. I got all these posters here from that book, Genderqueer, the oral sex. I can't even, it's oral, crazy stuff. And I couldn't one father to hold the posters for me while I confronted the school board on the stage. They were scared. So I have friends that were Proud Boys in the neighborhood. I said, hey, would you guys come just as fathers? Right? I don't want your colors. I don't want to detract from the intent of exposing this pornography. And they said, sure. And they held my posters for me. Sure enough, the left had all their media and stuff there, and they did a 180 on it. Didn't even really, act like we're hateful people. Proud Boys took over the school board meeting. They didn't do anything. They didn't say anything. They just held. And so then I became a target of the Southern Poverty Law Center. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a George Soros funded leftist. They did a hit piece on me. They went after my job multiple times, multiple investigations. And I actually performed at my, I'm not going to mention the name. I'm not there anymore. But after 23 years, I was laid off because of my politics. The Big French company, if you remember, Big French, woke as woke can be. And there was a second story from the Southern Poverty Law Center that came out after I hosted Tom Holman in Chicago about the criminal illegal Venezuelans. And the second story, the first one was around I hate gay people, which is not true. The second one is I hate innocent asylum seekers. Me, Tom Holman, and General Flynn were in this hit piece. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I was laid off after 23 years, not because of performance. I'm like, well, I'm a sales guy. I won the award more than anybody in the world. Yeah. Well, it's just we're going in a different direction. I go, you did it because of my politics. They said, oh, no, we love your politics. You fight for the children. And I was respectful on the call. I didn't want to tell them what I really felt.
Sure. Right. Terry, but a lot of people are putting themselves out there, and for what, like I said, even for what I do here, I have all types of guests on, but people know my political views. But I never understood when it comes to kids, when it comes to children, there's no. I don't know how you can, and look, like you're saying about the porn in kids' schools and stuff like that, and pamphlets and showing that. My buddy Richie from Seventh Heaven posted something on his page too, and he went to the board meeting in South Barrington, I think, to bring up why is this stuff in literature and why is this stuff happening here. And it's amazing that why is people so afraid to talk about this? This is our kids we're talking about.
Yeah, Tone, when I first got involved, again, I was never involved in politics, right? My views changed over time. I went to my first
Yeah.
school board meeting in August before my twins started freshman year at Downers Grove South, which is like a radical Marxist-led school. And I got connected with local moms, and we would, email or text. I'm like, yeah, I'll come and support you. And it was around the forced masking for COVID, right? And so I show
Okay.
up to the meeting about 20 minutes late, and there's 12 mothers. The fathers don't help the moms, by the way. The school board meeting tone is very rare, especially back then. And they all got kicked out. And I said,
Yeah.
what's going on here? And they said, well, the one mom said, I ran over my 3 minutes. I go, so they kicked us out and said it's an emergency meeting to punish us. And I said, screw that. I go, you know what? I'm going to teach you guys how to fight back and give them the same lack of respect, which I've heard they've done to our people, which they did. And I'm going to teach you how to fight like an ex-Democrat, Southside Italian union member. And we're going to push back on them. And sure enough, they didn't know how to handle me, right? They didn't know. I gave them the lack of respect that they gave our parents. You could see the disdain in their faces, even though the masks were on. And I was just shocked. I didn't know about genderqueer and all these books until the next meeting. A mom showed me. I'm like, there's no way this is in a kid's school. There's no way, And I even had my son go to the library and take pictures of the books to prove that it was in the school because I just couldn't believe it. And I started this battle thinking it was going to be everybody. We're going to have everybody support us. Well, if you're a Democrat in this day and age, and we talked a little bit about it before, I view there's two types of Democrats, right? There's the ones that are purposely trying to destroy America, the Marxist, the radical, the leftist views, right? And then there's the Democrats like my 86-year-old Italian mom who was a Democrat my whole life. She told me how evil. And when I started switching, she got upset. She's a hardcore MAGA mama now. 86 years old. And then her friends are mad at her. And she would brag about the things I've done and stuff, and they're upset.
Yeah.
They all watch CNN, and my mother is like, she did a 180, and the people that I grew up with on the South Side, my mom's friends, they're Democrats because they're uneducated with respect to the politics, the platforms. So there's two types. One's purposely hurting America on purpose. The other ones that are too dumb or uninvolved that are still Democrats. But to me, both of them are enemies of my children because the outcome's the same. They might have different reasons why they're Democrats, but supporting this craziness is going to destroy America, our children's future, and all those people that died to give us the country we have today.
Yeah, and it's sad. And like I said, nothing is coming to it. And just like you said, it's mind-boggling. And like I said, I have a lot of Democratic friends. And like I said, it's just that one. And look, we can speak for the same thing about, it's not just Democrats. So we can pick on some of these, the Rhino Republicans too. That's like some of them don't even give a shit or whatever hell it is. And I think I mentioned a couple of things to you before. And I asked you this, if it was not Donald, because it's the hate. It's the hatred of our president of the United States that they hate so much, because before he became president, The View loved him. Everybody loved him. They thought he was a great guy, blah, 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 blah. And the minute he became president, it just destroyed people. I mean, we've been so divided. I've lost friends through it, even though I know good friends of mine, very good friends of mine, that we don't even, we'll dig each other. We'll throw punches at each other, for fun, because we're still friends, even though we don't agree on politics. But that's part of life. You fought that when you had a buddy, you can just, okay, we don't like that, or, but my God, some people take it to the extreme, and it's absolutely nuts. And it makes you wonder, when you come out and do this, Terry, are you ever afraid? I mean, the next question is that, I know you went to the Charlie Kirk AmFest, and tell us, what was your thoughts on Charlie?
He was a great guy. I'm not going to say I was friends with him, but I knew him. He'd be at big events. He'd see me and he'd laugh because he knows how I fight, like the things I shared you with, and nobody's doing it in Illinois. So he was a great guy. My twins, who when they were 15, they were all expenses paid by Charlie Kirk to AmFest, 3 years ago, and two friends.
Yeah.
What's kind of funny is that my twins were allowed to bring a guest each, my boy-girl twins. And if you hear this in the media, they say like the younger boys are gravitating quicker, right, to the Republican side. And free, all expenses paid to go with me, my wife, and the kids. And my daughter could not get one girl to say, hey, I want to go to Phoenix in the middle of winter, because the girls were so anti, everything on Charlie Kirk. So my son got to bring two guests, two boys, because there's another free ticket. And that's the time where I was labeled a domestic terrorist. I didn't know this. It was at the First Southern Poverty Law Center. And so we had to go. I worked for a global international company. I was a platinum member. I had TSA pre-check, everything, right? And we couldn't get our boarding passes, so we had to go to the gate. And I thought, oh, because I have 2 minors with me, because it's the first time. So we go to the gate and couldn't get. We're like sitting there forever. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And she goes, well, here, I'll print out all the other passes. I'm on hold with yours. I'm like, why? And she didn't tell me. So we're going to run out of time to get to AmFest. So I took my wife and the kids over to the TSA Platinum Premium check line because of my status. I go, here, go. And I'll go back there. The lady's still on hold. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I go, I'm going to miss my flight. Then I look to the left and 4 agents are taking my wife and children out of the line. And I run back over there. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They go, oh, your name must be on a list on accident or so. I go, what are you talking about? Yeah, we have to do a high security check. Then I go back and tell that lady, I go, I'm going to miss my flight. She goes, here, I'll give you a pass so you could get that past TSA and then you'll get your boarding pass at the gate. I get up to the agent. He looks at me and then he calls on his radio, calls supervisors. He tells everyone, this is going to be shut down for 20 minutes. Go to another line. I'm like, what's going on? I go, you guys took my family. He goes, you're on I was a quad S. I didn't know what that meant. It was a high security alert. I was labeled a domestic terrorist. I didn't know that. I went through this high level security. The guys were super cool. They didn't, so then I ran to the gate. And as I got to the gate, they're closing the door. I'm like, wait, my wife and kids are on there. And the gate agent goes, what's your name? I go, Newsom. She goes, no, they're not. I go, where's my family? She goes, I don't know. I go, they took my kids and wife and them in the back and gave them a separate pat down. And my son comes running up, Anthony, and I'm like, then mom and them. And one of the gate agents comes up and says, man, listen, he goes, you're on a list with really bad people. We missed our flight. We missed another flight. I found out that at that time they had to call Washington, D.C. to get approval to put me on a plane. And that's when I was labeled a terrorist. As a matter of fact, they asked me again, do you have weapons on you? They did the same thing to my family on the way back. When I went to CPAC, it got worse. I, got through the high intense security. I went to the gate. I'm sitting there waiting to go to DC. And all these 5 TSA agents, undercover marshals come. And then they say, everyone has to have passports and licenses. And they pulled me out of line when I went through and searched me in front of everybody. It was for me because they started harassing us. And I didn't go into the building on January 6th. I left before anybody went into the building. We left. We were at the last line. We started behind Ray Epps. I got all these. I only sent you a few things, Tone. I could have flooded you. Right. And the crowd kind of moved. If you saw that, me and my friend Rob Waller, he was a Cook County sheriff. He just retired right before that, and he wanted to go. And so we kind of went with the flow. I had all this stuff going on, right? And then we were at the last line where there was the fighting. The last line of defense for the Capitol was the Capitol Police between the bleachers, if you remember. That's where the fighting was, And I stayed back. January 5th, I was at University of Chicago. I have stage 4 prostate, stage 3 melanoma. So I already survived the prostate cancer. The melanoma, I was in the middle of immunotherapy. So I had to have an IV on January 5th at noon. Met with Rob. We drove. Begged me to go. I shouldn't have gone. My wife was pissed, right? And I was exhausted. And thank God, Tone, I told my friend, I go, come on, let's go. Right. When the things started getting crazy and they're shooting not out of, because I'm the confrontational guy, right? I was so exhausted, Tone. We started leaving. And that's when I sent you, those pictures you saw, that guy masked up that was taking pictures at 1:30, 35 minutes before people got in the Capitol. We were leaving and I had to lay on the grass right after that picture. I was so exhausted. And I know it sounds stupid to say, thank God I had cancer. I would have been locked up in jail and I would have died because you don't get treated, in those institutions. And we see this guy wrapped up from head to toe, right? You can't even see his hat's down and stuff, yelling in his megaphone to the approaching people. Take a picture, everybody. Show the world. I just sent you the stills. Why was he telling people to take pictures? What happened with the pictures? They knew what was happening, Tone. They knew that they were agitators. They were everywhere. Not a single Antifa was in sight. And right before we did that, Rob was like on the front line. I'm laying back. I'm getting exhausted. I'm just standing there watching. And some 75-year-old lady was to my right. And between us, there was a guy stationary, just like that guy I sent you, yelling, get up there for 10 minutes. We need more troops. And this older lady looked towards him and she yelled at him. She goes, why don't you get your ass up there? And I looked to her and I was like thinking the same thing. I pulled my mask down to smile at her like, no shit, I was thinking the same thing. And that is just validation. They were everywhere. There was no insurrection, Tone. So I guess to answer your point, outside of that, your question, and like when I confront BLM, I didn't send you, like they went to, I would go to parents events. And you know Ron and Esty. I know Ron, right? Remember they had
Ron is the best. Sure.
Yeah, the 1 year anniversary at Riggle Park for the Columbus statue after the
yeah, we were there. We were there.
Oh, did you see the Proud Boys there? Remember,
I've seen everybody. Yes, absolutely.
Who do you think brought them there? Antifa said they're going to come and beat us up. And you know what was upsetting to me, Tony, is like, we're not spring chickens, right? And we're like we're the young guys that if we were in our 20s, we would have made sure everybody was safe, right? They weren't there to help our older people. I'm a member of the Joint Civic Committee of Italian America. When I saw that, some of the guys, Carlo and them, were sending me the screenshots of Antifa saying we're going to go and beat up the racist Parmesan eating Italians and cops. So this, I told Ron he was only going to have 2 cops. I go, Ron, you got to have more. I go, last year they beat up 120 cops, right? Antifa said they're going to show up. I made a phone call. Those were like 50 Proud Boys came from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Southern Illinois, Kentucky. They even had a medic flying from Boston. We met on Taylor Street, and we drank before they get in a circle. They have a guy, we do prayers, and we went there to protect our side. And you saw how you saw the police kept us separated, and there was only 20 of them. Honestly, it was kind of disappointing. We wanted to beat the shit out of them. And one of the Southern, So go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's absolutely insane. And Terry, what's so funny? And after everything that you go through, and folks, you have even some of the stuff that he's done, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. It makes you wonder with your family, do they ever say, Dad, or you say, hey, man, maybe you should stop doing this? Stop talking about the kids and stop being involved? Do they say that to you? Because maybe they're afraid. They're afraid of maybe what might happen to you.
My wife is nothing like me. She went to University of Wisconsin-Madison, so I think she's a double agent. That's a joke. That's a joke. She has but she doesn't talk about it. She hates it. She hates it. She's worried about my health, right? The stress with this, my job, which I just lost, and after 23 years because of the politics. And she, now that I'm getting more prominent and starting to make a difference by exposing this, she's more receptive. But when, I sent you, the FBI came to my house. I sent you those pictures, right? And also the state police detectives. I got them on the Ring camera. And that was because I called out John Curran. He's our state minority leader. For his daughter played volleyball with my daughter at Downers Grove. I said, could you help me? I'm getting attacked. Just say porn doesn't belong in our daughter's schools. That piece of crap said, before I knew the political landscape, he's our Senate minority leader. Oh, Terry, if I get involved, it'll be political. It'll be a distraction. I go, what are you talking about, John? It is political. They want porn and transvestites to brainwash our kids. We don't. I later found out that he's getting paid by the Democratic Teachers Union and to keep his mouth shut, $300,000. So then the FBI showed up at my house. They first came under a different guy. This was a few years ago, right? They came. I tried to run some multiple parents events. Well, one was at Ron's place in Des Plaines. Did you remember that big controversy? They shut it down. They threatened Ron. Yeah, that was my event. They threatened Ron personally and the venue. And then
I remember that. He took a lot. Yeah, he took a lot of hit for that, and that's insane. It was completely insane.
I'm sure you played at Bourbon Street, right, Carl? Did you play Bourbon Street?
Sure, 115. Yeah, we were there. We were there last year for Valentine's Day. Sure.
They shut them down. Both Antifa threatened the owners, both Ron and them, and they called the bands and performers, and they threatened them, and we got canceled, and they threatened to shoot me. My nickname was Pops because I'm old. They threatened to shoot me. Time to drop me. Antifa and those FBI agents showed up on my porch a few years ago after January 6th. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, you saw how many people got arrested, right? My heart dropped. Yes. I had like a flashback from the 80s. I was like, they're like FBI. I'm like, oh my God. I said, what's up? They go, well, we know that people are coming after your free speech. I said, I go, you're because of Antifa? Because I was going to lose my job. They go, well, yes, you know about them? I'm like, yeah, they're threatening me. I'm like, great, right? Because I know who the guys were. And then otherwise, if it would have been anything else, I'd be go screw yourself, right? I know enough about that. And then I said, yeah, sure. You know, they had pictures of them. And then you see the pictures I sent you. My hands are like this on my Ring camera,
Yeah.
hold out.
Yeah. Right.
They
Right.
said, they go, by the way, we know you were at January 6th. This is 2 years ago. I go, this is after the Southern Poverty Law Center. I said, listen,
Sure.
guys, I go, you know where everybody was. I left before people went in. I didn't do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. So, but back to my wife, right? So remember, the state police came here because of current. My wife broke down. Well, actually, first she started screaming at me, right? When are you going to stop this shit? I told you, Then she broke down and started crying. And she goes, I don't even know what to do if you get arrested. I don't even know who to call or where I find you. You got to stop this, And I hugged her and I said, listen, I go, Kara, I'm going to do this till the day I die. I said, the reason the future of America is like this is because our generations did nothing. We sat back and let them take over the schools, all this craziness. It's because people expected other people to do what you're doing. And I did exposing and talking about this. We can't sit idle. We have to expose it. We have to get involved. I'm not going to die not knowing that I at least tried to do something. And so, that was the last time we really, talked about that.
Talked about it. Yeah, we got Terry Newsom, folks, and he calls himself a crazy podcaster. Yeah, I don't know, Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Terry, it's amazing what you do, and you're out there. And look, and we're speaking about the police officers. Today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. So again, we always thank the first responders and the police officers, men and women, what they do for our country. It's amazing how that all changed in 2020 with some of these poor police officers. And just because you got one bad seed, all of a sudden every cop's bad. And it's just horrible what these police men and women have to go through. And even right now, these days, it's a little crazy. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. Another sponsor, our good friends from Armando's Supermarkets. Buy local, shop local, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin, Illinois. My good buddy, Danny Mazzi, and our friends from Armando's Supermarkets. Great produce, guys. Couple things. I know you were just on WGN. You did Channel 5, Chicago Pro, Maduro. I mean, President Trump goes in, takes down one of the biggest dictators, and people are like upset about it. Now, here's the thing. If you did, like John Fetterman said to the fellow Democrats, if you didn't want this guy arrested, why is there a reward for how many millions of dollars? What's your take on that?
Biden administration, my show last night was about it, Tony. They put the $25 million bounty on his head. The Biden administration did, right? They were criticizing Trump in the beginning because we did all the research for the show like you did. They were calling him out, how come you're not doing anything, right? I mean, geez. And then they were trying to, when I was at that event, they're trying to tell me the guy's not sending drug boats here. I go, you could see the bales of drugs, and those are low open bow boats, so they stay under the radar. Those aren't cruise ships like your cruise ship. Those aren't like fishing boats. They are low to the ground so they could hide on the radar. And then they would say, oh, they can't make to the American shore. Then they later said, oh, well, all those drugs were bound for Europe. I mean, they're nuts. They're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. It's hard to have a debate with them. They denied that Trent Lark was there. They were all over Chicago. I mean, Jesus Christ, Oak Brook Mall arrested 120 a few years ago in like 12 months of organized shoplifting. They're everywhere. And these people can't even tell us what a woman is, or they tell us that a man could have a child. So we're supposed to believe everything that they say. They're nuts. They're absolutely nuts. I'd like to say one thing, I know, because we're almost done. I'm rebuilding my Facebook page. So any of your followers, I could use a like, because I was taken off by a Democrat 7 months ago. I'm starting from scratch, so I could use a little help from your followers to beef it back up.
So let's go to Terry Newsom's Facebook page, everybody. Yeah. You know what, man? And I've got guys that watch my show, and I know that we don't agree with the same political views. I got some guys who are very intelligent in what they say, and some of the stuff they say makes a lot of sense when we're talking about President Donald Trump. Like, for instance, after Rob Reiner was his son killed him, and whatever. It's the stupid comic that he made. I mean, really dumb. I mean, and I believe that as much as Trump is doing so great to some degree, some of the stuff he does is really just mind-boggling why he would say stuff like this. You have to have an ego to get there. But here, my buddy Boyd, a very smart gentleman, he says, why would so many people evolve into hating Trump after becoming president? For what reason? There's no excuse. Majority of citizens want the same thing, and it's because it become the land of the have and the have not. Just like you were saying also about the media, it's owned by what, 2 or 3 billionaires? They own everything, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. Why
Yeah.
the hatred so much? And I think I asked you this before we went live, Terry. If Donald Trump was not the president of the United States, if it was another Republican president, would we be having all this hate between? Would America be so divided if it was another like Louis Lipschitz? Just say, President Louis Lipschitz is the president of the United States, not Donald Trump. What would happen? What would? Is it because of him?
I think the left's hate has been evolving over time, right? It would never be like it is now, right? And even the Republicans that are on board with them, we talked about, they're full of crap, right? They're doing it for their own. They know he's got the ball now, right? And then as we get closer to midterms, some of them are going to start focusing on their own, own bullshit and probably betray us. But I said before, the first time I voted for Trump, not because of who he is, it's because of who he wasn't. Right? I'm a Republican as the lesser of two evils. I think they're a bunch of weasels. They're incompetent, especially in Illinois, for the most part. Not, and then thank God he lost the second election, because that opened up so many Americans' eyes to the significance of the deep state. Preppers, I thought they were nuts. I didn't think it was a bad. And if we didn't have that gap in between to see how bad, evil, and corrupt these bastards are, Trump would not be able to enact the policies and the things and get the support that he's getting right now, right? They're doing it because they know that he's got the ball, he's got the attention, and thank God he's in there. I said this 2 years ago, Tone. I really believe, more so now than 2 years ago, that the Democrats are trying to start their second civil war because they have nothing to stand by. This stuff that happened yesterday, this stuff that hit the No Kings is so it's so overly funded. I was embedded at the DNC convention with some of the Real American Voice, Ben Bergquam and Jack Popisek and those guys, right? They have signs. The park was full of these professional signs. The whole infield, out to the outfield, stacked with signs. No Kings protest all over, same signs all over the country. This is being populated by foreign enemies of ours, right? And Soros and Marxists, and they're creating this divide. And I'm worried it keeps creeping a little bit further and further, and we're in trouble. I think Trump is just a Band-Aid, Tom.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he's the only guy that's not a politician, has the balls to say whatever he wants, good or bad. And that's what it is. And I think that's why so many people hate him, because he's not what a political guy's supposed to be. But who knows? I don't know. Let's go back here. What if Kamala Harris was president of the United States right now? And I've got nothing against. I think one day we'll have a woman president. I hope we do, but not her. She's not qualified. Give me a lady who's qualified. So say it was the other way around. Say Trump lost the election. What would we be doing right now?
I believe 1,000% what he said that would have pushed us over the edge, right? We can't even take care of our own vets and our own people here in the United States. They spent $3 billion in Illinois on illegal health care, right? They're pumping them into the schools. We would have been collapsed, right? Let's see. It's going to be a nice petri dish with New York and what happens there. We would have been collapsed. We were a joke. We weren't doing anything to protect our open. How could you defend an open border? Now they're going after Tom Homan, and ICE, and saying, well, they're also arresting people that never committed a crime. I said, okay, great. My grandparents came through Ellis Island from Naples, legally and stuff, right? And none of us are against legal immigration, right? And so say if we don't arrest even the people that came here illegally, that haven't yet committed a crime that we know of, there's got to be ramifications for that, because otherwise, if the whole world knows and they say, wow, you know what? Hey, if we slither into the United States of America and we don't commit a crime, hell, it's open borders, right? Of course, we want people to have an opportunity for a better life for them and their families. We can't take care of the whole world. Imagine if your wife started inviting all these homeless people into your house because you're good heart and stuff. You're going to eventually, your household can only support so many people. Your household will collapse. You won't pay your mortgage. You can't feed your family. It's the same thing on a macro scale that we're doing now. We can't take care of our own people. I think until we could take care of our own people, there's no reason we should take care of others. And you know, when they say the immigration system's broke, right? The Democrats, why is it broke?
Yeah,
Because the borders
sure.
aren't open? Is that why? I mean, what's broke about it? Right? That's their excuse. It's not broke. It should be hard to get in here. My grandfather, I should have sent you this. When my grandpa came from Italy, I didn't even know there was a Prince of Italy at the time. Did you know that? Back in 1920? He had to denounce him.
No.
Like, I'll send it to you. It'll be nice for you to have. He had to denounce him. He had to denounce polygamy. He had to say, he had to have a sponsor. He had to have a job. He had to commit to speaking English, all this stuff that now they don't give a shit.
Sure.
And then come on in. You know, back then the Italians, you'd help your family members, right, and get assimilated. My mom and my aunts and uncles didn't learn a lick of Italian because my grandparents wanted them to become Americans. Now they want, especially the mom, to do their language and make us assimilate to them and their belief. Well, what the hell? Then get the hell out of America.
Well, and you know, you're absolutely right. We want people into this country. Why not? It's the greatest country in the world. And obviously, it's not perfect, but we want people to come in. My parents did the exact same thing. Do the legal paperwork, get it done, become a citizen of the United States. Now, even though the people came in here and they're not committing crime, just like you said, but then look at the one officer. There was a police officer. I forgot what town it was. They caught him that he let his paperwork. He didn't reapply again. Why are you not reapplying? That brings a red flag. If you're not doing anything wrong, go back and reapply and come into the country the right way.
Yeah,
you know, there's nothing wrong.
My friend. Sorry, my friend Ben Berquam was in the vehicle with him.
Go ahead.
And if he's the one that interviewed him, he did the ride along with Tom Holland and those guys.
Okay.
The guy was here for 10 years, and Ben said I liked him, but it's like, you know, to your point, you've been here for 10 years, buddy. And the guy can carry a gun only when he's working. He can't carry a gun at home. Right. And then I have another friend. So hopefully I'm going to have some exciting stuff for our audience, and I'll share it with you guys as well. Is that I got my paperwork into Tom's team to do a ride along, to be one of the ride along reporters to
with
go
ICE.
catch the. Yeah, and so Ben was doing that, and I have another friend that's an ICE agent here, and they doxed him and his family, and he had to move. Right, he's Southwest Side guy, and then he said that guy, you know, the ICE agents are like, well, you know, he's law enforcement, he looks like he could be, you know, a good asset. Then they found out all his anti-police stuff years ago and BLM support that this guy, who they just let back, become a police officer again. And if you remember when back in the day I call him BJ Prickster, when he allowed that and people were saying, oh, you're going to maybe have someone that's not a citizen that could arrest it. Oh, that will never happen. Remember that? He said, oh, that will never be lied to us.
That will never happen. And the thing about it, folks, no matter if you like ICE or not, let's get to the facts here. And the most important thing, why is ICE even here? Why are they here? Joe Biden, Obama, they bought these people in.
Yeah.
They bought them in. This would have not happened like this, ladies and gentlemen. And it's like, it's mind-boggling to me that even when you tell people facts, they still think, you know, it's crazy. It really is. Boyd, I like what you said. What he said. Then we should think before thinking about taking over other countries. Take Greenland, for example. Greenland said it's okay to put up all military bases. They want United States to take care of their own first. Why? It's amazing why we don't take care of our own first. Right. Our veterans, these poor guys, these men and women that fought for our country. I mean, it's like, my God, it's mind-boggling to me. It's like, and I talked to veterans. I had veterans on the show for everything they do. I don't know.
We talked a little bit about I had a private meetings for Tom Holman and with, you know, including senior Italian Chicago police officers, right, that can't come out who they are. And Tom Holman said, and he said this on his interviews, you know what, these leftists that want to open borders and all this stuff, and they don't want people to go back, right, in Sanctuary City. He goes, what they don't understand is if they let me cooperate with those in Cook County and Dart lets me go, I could send one of my agents over with a set of handcuffs and take the criminal Tren de Largo, the gang members, and pick them up. But no, you know what they do? They release them on purpose because they hate Trump and all this crap. And these guys go out into the community. What do I have to do? I have to send a whole team in there. I put my team at risk. I put the offender at risk and the community at risk. And oh, by the way, if there's people that are there that are illegals without crime, they're going away too. So they're creating this. And then now think about these ICE agents when they go out, that we had to bear the burden of the cost of all these illegals, right? In the schools and education, the healthcare and rest, right? Well, now we're trying to clean up the mess. They're doubling the cost of cleaning up the mess because our ICE agents can't go on a team just to get a bad guy. They got to have a team to go get a bad guy and a team to protect the other guys that are getting the bad guy because they're attacking them. And what happened on January 6th? They wanted our people to go to jail, even if they didn't brutally attack a police officer, if they were there without any hearings. They wanted to lock them up. You know, and I confronted Dick Durbin at the ICE Center. And I said, hey, I yelled in a big press conference. I'll send you that. I said, hey, Durbin, I go, what about the protesters that are attacking ICE agents? And he looked and made a face at me. But when it was a sin at January 6th. And nobody should attack police officers. I think we agree. You do that, you should go to jail, no matter if you're Republican or Democrat. Now they're defending them. They're allowed. They want them to attack them. They're enabling it, and it just shows the hypocrisy and the craziness and the evilness of the Democrats.
I never thought in this day and age, I just turned 63 years old. I never thought we'd be like this. And the problem is and look, guys, everybody, they hate this president so much. And I don't even know if they hate the president. I just think they hate him as a person, the way he is. And he got 3 years, he got the midterms coming. What happens, okay, Trump's gone. Mm-hmm. He's done. If Vance becomes president of the United States, J.D. Vance becomes president of the United States, will people give him the same shit that they're giving Trump, or you think he'll be a little bit more diplomatic?
Well, I think him personally will be more diplomatic, and I think we both agree, and many of us agree that the dumb stuff he says. I don't agree with that. I mean, because he's a smart guy, he's doing tremendous things for our country. It just creates uneasiness that's not necessary. He doesn't even have to say anything wrong and they attack him, right? So he gives them a little, fuel for the fire. And so JD Vance obviously won't be like that. I just hope he's not, blowing smoke up our ass or Trump's ass, because he's all MAGA, which is outstanding, right? So say if he does win, I believe they'll still brutally attack him, right? Because I think we're moving more with these far radical leftists and taking over congressional seats, and we got a Marxist running New York, and I think that's going to continue to erode our country, right? I don't think they'll aggressively attack him as much, but they will. And if we don't win,
they will.
Yeah, if we don't win the next election, all this stuff's going to be undone if we don't get Congress and Senate to make this stuff permanent.
To be on the same page. And to answer your question, Boyd, and to answer anybody else's question, look, there's Republicans out there that are just as bad. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's a broke system. It's a broke system. It looks like some of the Republicans are afraid to step up, whatever, or they're in it because they want those seats. They want those seats. They're going to get all that money, sit in there, and they don't care. They don't want to cause any riff. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's what it is, Boyd, to answer your questions. Boyd says, I suppose Republicans can walk on water. No, they cannot walk on water. There's a lot of them that are just as bad, Boyd. It's just as bad. I think we're Terry Newsom. Sorry. Terry Newsom's in the house.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I think both you and I are clear. I said I'm only consider myself more of a conservative because they're the lesser of two evils. Never said they walk on water. I'm embarrassed to be a Republican in the state of Illinois because they're feckless, they're incompetent, no vision, no nothing. Right. And in the relationship, in the marriage from the Democratic side, right? You got the Democrats, you got the money, you got the unions, you got, so much power, right? In the marriage between, as I learned in this short 4 years of my politics, is that the Illinois GOP is supposed to bring the money and the power, and then the grassroots brings the people and the passion. The Illinois GOP has zero money and they have zero power, but then they weasel their own little people in here and the passion. We're here, but they've been betraying us so much that people are getting fed up, Tone. They're like, why am I wasting my time when my same party is pushing their friends that are going to agree with the Democrats, backstab us? John Curran can't even say pornography doesn't belong in his own young daughter's school. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it is completely nuts. Terry Newsom on with us, folks, here. This is Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. It's time for the weather real fast, folks. That's right. We like to do it. It's brought to you by our good friends from ARC Ace Hardware. The weather for today is January 9th, folks. We're looking at 43 degrees, 2% humidity, 10 mile an hour. It's a beautiful day today. I believe yesterday night, about 3 o'clock, it was 61 degrees. 61. And by by the morning, it was like 41. I'll take this winter anytime. Ted Nugent. I think you did something. You talked to his wife on that. Now the crazy Ted, whether you love him or not. Another guy who speaks his mind. The Venezuelan invasion. We're talking about the Venezuela. People said he went there for the oil.
Yeah. So, oh my God. So when I interviewed last Saturday with WGN and NBC, the reporters, they give you, they only take snippets out, right? And the one NBC guys, well, is that what you voted for? Did you vote for another war? Did you vote for fighting for oil? I said, first of all, yes, this is what I voted for. Is he there just for the oil? No, it's the drugs. It's China. It's Iran. It's Russia. They're creating a stronghold in Venezuela. And then Venezuela, and we're seeing it now, is enabling Cuba 90 miles from our shore. Some of the leftists there, what is it? It's none of our business. I'm like, yeah, it is our business. Then they flooded us with these criminal legal Venezuelans. If you remember when Trump said that, they said he was nuts. Remember? They said he was opening his prisons, his gang. People have to understand is like, because I'm Italian, I got into 2 shelters. Until they figured out I couldn't speak Spanish, the Inn of Chicago, the Magnificent Mile, the Standard Club, and I sent you the police reports, and I saw inside those shelters metal detectors, wands, and we have been trying to brainwash us. Oh, these are immigrants. They don't create crime like us. They create less crime than America. So I started running FOIAs. The one FOIA out of 27 centers there was 700 police reports in about 14 months. That means the Chicago Police Department were called 700 times. Right? 700 times. I got, of all these different centers, I did about 7 of them. Human sex trafficking, child pornography, counterfeit money. They would take counterfeit money and go to Detroit and buy cars from dealerships, bring them back here. They're kicking doors down, wearing masks, saying we're Trent Largo with machine guns. Multiple murders. What is Chicago known for the last 100 years? Al Capone, right? Al Capone. And
Bang, bang.
St. Valentine's Day Massacre. How many people were shot? 7. Do you remember not far from Pilsen last 2 Thanksgivings ago, 8 people shot? Do you guys remember that? I right away pushed it out. It's supposed to be investigative journalists. I still think that's funny. I said that was Trent Largo. I knew it was. It was 4 men and 4 women. Sure enough, before it was out there, my friend from CPD said, Terry, you were right. It was a revenge for a murder in Venezuela. And I knew that even the bad gangs that here in Chicago, how often you see them shooting up women? Right? A baby will get shot on accident from stray bullets, not purposefully.
On accident.
Correct. And then in Cicero, used to be the headquarters of Al Capone. Ironically, 5 days later, that Thursday night, who was shot in the back? A cop. Remember that? And then on Sunday, Cicero, there was a car. There was a fight where 2 women and 2 men were shot in Cicero. And I'm like, it's Trent Largo. So think about in the week times frame, we had 1 mass shooting that was more than Al Capone's. 8 people, 4 women. A cop shot in the back in Cicero. On noon on a Sunday, 4 people shot, 2 men and 2 women. That's just more than Al Capone. The stuff that's going on here is crazy, and they're not reporting about it.
They're not reporting about it. I don't know about our mayor. I never thought there'd be a worse mayor than Lightfoot, but this guy is horrible. And that's another show in itself. But Boyd, you made a lot of good points. Our country's turning like a movie. The Gangs of New York, with centigrated circles. This side, that side. You know what? Let's talk real fast. This whole thing with Minnesota. Unfortunately, that lady was shot by the police officer. And if you look at, I'm looking at, and you know what? There was actually a quote, and I was going to try to find this, and this was actually from Vice President of Vance on Fox News. This is his words. What that headline leaves out is the fact that every ICE officer nearly had his life ended. Dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think about maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile. What the headlines also left out is the woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What the headlines also left out is that the woman is a part of their left-wing network to attack, to detox, assault, and to make it just to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth. Now, mind you, when it comes from J.D. Vance, people are going to say it's all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But this is some stuff that he's saying. I don't think he's talking out of line here.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on
I'm
this?
glad you brought that up. That's an important point. First, like I just got this. I posted it right before on my page of this woman at other rallies. Crazy. You see her face. It's out there. Probably one of the second post down. This woman was part of an organized group. Matter of fact, she was the lead organizer. They were stalking the agents. That's why it's important to have embedded reporters like myself or Ben and stuff, so they could pick up on that stuff and show it. She was stalking these guys purposefully. She led it. She was on that angle. She was trying to block them. And why was her husband or wife or whatever she was not in the vehicle with her when she was in the middle of the street? And people have to take into account, it's awful that somebody got killed, right? Think about it.
Correct.
They're talking about she's a mother with the baby. Oh, what about the ICE agent?
Yeah.
Does that justify? I went to federal judge and said, I'm a father. Please resolve me of my crimes. That's not a justification. That guy had, he has a family, I'm assuming. But if you look at what she did, she backed up with the other officer's arm inside the vehicle. That guy saw that, right? After he was just dragged, right? She didn't give a shit about that. And then she went forward and look at the streets. Thank God it was icy like that, because if it wasn't icy, she would have gotten traction and that guy wouldn't have a chance to get his shot off. You know what I mean? Think about it. If it wasn't icy like that, he would never had enough time to do that. And then they talk about, oh, well, she shouldn't have been killed. No, we wish she didn't. But you know what? What about Ashley Babbitt, January 6th? That 112-pound woman vet was shot in the face for trespassing. Nobody's life she wasn't ready to run somebody over. She didn't have a weapon. She wasn't close to that guy. He peeked around the corner and shot her in the face. Right? Where were they? They were praising it. They thought it was great. She deserved it. And if you think, how many times has our Capitol been taken over by leftists and bomb threats and all this crazy shit? So yes, things got out of hand. People were frustrated, upset, disappointed, angry. Yes. And then you had all these agitators that activated the group. Thank God, Tony, I was so tired, man. I would have been in the Capitol. And then with my background, I was labeled a domestic terrorist and I didn't even do anything wrong. I would have died in prison. I had to, I would have.
You were just there. Yeah, you were just there. And you're right, Boyd. Like Boyd said here, the whole thing could have been handled differently. Yeah, okay, probably could have been done a little bit differently. But that's the point we're trying to say here. Right now, even though something might be just normal, we don't know what the transaction was saying between them two. We didn't hear that. We're only telling what the press is saying. We don't know what was going on with that. The last we're almost down. We got I'm sorry, we got a couple of minutes left here. One of the questions and that I have to ask you, and I asked you before showtime, why is there no arrests? Why nobody on Epstein's Island? Why there's no arrest on Minnesota? Why is nothing? Why is nobody? Usually there's got to be one scapegoat that goes down. Nothing anywhere.
Yeah. So first of all, there's still a deep state, right? When first Trump put people in office, you have to understand, like my own experiences with my indictment, the thing takes a long time, but they had to weed out all these deep state people. That took time. I think they're at a point in time, they got to move very, very fast, right? We talked a little bit about Epstein's Island, all these scumbag, billionaire, wealthy guys that were involved. If in fact they had information on Trump, so those of you people that hate Trump out there, they would have showed it in the last 6 years. Oh, they didn't have access. No, they had access to it. They would have showed it. They're making stuff up about Trump urinating on Russian women and all that stuff. They would have exposed it. Trump didn't do anything wrong. They would have hung him within the last 5 years. So there's wealthy
would have been all over the media.
Yeah, there's wealthy people.
Terry, you're absolutely.
There's wealthy people
would have been exact.
They need to be exposed. But I was told by a senior Republican person, without saying his name, before the show, right? I asked him the same question you asked me last spring. And he goes, well, Terry, and this has been coming out in the last month. He goes, people would go to those events, and you even said that to me, about they didn't know the guy was a creep, right? Wealthy, powerful billionaires had no knowledge about who this guy was, and they're innocent, even though they were there and they didn't go there, and they're guilt by association. So he's getting pressure from the bad guys who we don't care about. And he's getting pressure from the billionaires that are friends with him. And he likes loyalty, right? to say, oh my God, you're going to destroy me, even though I didn't do anything. To me, I don't care. I would say, listen, buddy, lawyer up and get a PR firm. We have to expose this, right? So I'm disappointed. I hope the stuff's going to come out. I hope the pressure comes out. I think that Minnesota is a different animal. They're going to go after them. They stole billions. We had these inbred Somalis that stole billions of dollars. And I don't only just blame the Democrats in Minnesota. What about the other people with it that are whatever? How do you oversee billions of dollars? It's absolutely
it's both parties. It's both parties. Both parties are wrong for letting this happen for so long and all that money spent. It's mind-boggling. And just like I said, you don't even know who's a good guy anymore sometimes.
Yeah, you saw
it's pretty scary.
I sent, Nick Sorter is the kid that exposed that, right? I sent you that. I'm on a wanted poster with Nick Sorter, Benny Johnson and stuff, because we would go to the ICE Center, and Chicago Antifa put this out to call, and I stopped going there after that one time because it got hairy, right? So they don't want us to expose all this stuff. They don't want us to show them what they're doing in Minnesota, what they're doing to these agents. These people are evil and corrupt. Again, not defending the Republicans. I think they suck. I think they're a little bit lesser evil of the two parties. And, so I think I'll finish. I know we're almost done here.
No, I know what you're saying. And that was one of the last questions. I mean, you are on the wanted, the Antifa bingo poster and trying to do what you're doing there. And you're doing great work. And if, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what side of the fence you're on, if there's something that's wrong, it needs to be stopped. The drug trafficking, the whole Epstein Island thing with kids, it's wrong no matter what side of the fence you're on politically. This stuff needs to stop. It's not like we're doing it's like Terry, what you're not doing it just to do it. You're doing to try to make the world better and the future for our kids and their kids.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? It's scary. Natalie, you just said that. Good afternoon, Barb, everybody. Guys, like I said, Terry, thank you so much for being on. You're a busy guy doing what you're doing. We just want to say keep up the great work of what you're doing. Follow Terry on his page on Facebook, Terry Newsom, folks, and he's got his own podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays nights. Right now, folks, what we need in this world is unity to try to come together. But if there's some shit that's going down, we need to stop this, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, whatever it is. We need to put an end to this. And there's obviously some bad people out there that don't want this to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Tom, send me your flyer for the cruise. I'll post it out to my people, unless it's sold out. I don't know. I mean, I want to thank Michelle.
No, we leave Thursday. I'll send it to you. We leave the Friday. We leave Friday, but you never know. Last minute, people want to jump on the NTD Vacation Chicago MSC World America. We leave January 17th through January 24th. Tony Ocean, the main event band, and Seventh Heaven again. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Terry.
Michelle Rocco, she got us together.
And Terry, Michelle is coming on the cruise. Michelle is coming on the cruise.
Yeah. I love
very, very cool.
Girl. Yeah, thanks, Michelle.
Love her. She's the best. I've known her since high school. She's a great person, and she does a lot of stuff too with politics, and she does a great job at that too.
Yes, she's
big time. Real fast. Also, Bears Packers coming on Saturday. The big game, the wild card, single seat, one single seat's going for $400. That's a single seat. Probably the tickets is $180. So you figure $400. You know me, I'm going for the Packers. That's just me. So we're going to see what happens on that. And guys, a couple other things. No, we got much. We're going to continue the show back on Monday, of course, Monday through Friday at noon, Ocean's Pit. Big shows coming up on the 15th. Will be at Positano's in Wheaton, which is the next Thursday before we leave. On the 29th, will be at Positano's in Oak Brook. On the 31st, Big Sammy's in Plainfield. February 7th will be at Gusto's in Glenview. On the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, will be at Impact Fuel Room in Libertyville with Ocean's Rat Pack. We sold it out last March 21st to 218 Distillery, a brand new place in Highwood. We love it. And of course, Johnny Cabs in Burr Ridge on March 7th. But let's not forget Tomorrow night, Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy. We're there Saturday night with the Main Event Band, and Sunday we're there at Double T Tony Toto. Go to oshows.com. Quick birthdays. It's 1:00. Birthdays for Friday. January 9th, Melania Trump actually celebrating a birthday. Don Johnson, Sebastian Cabot. Now we're going back, of course. Eric Trump turns 42 years old yesterday. Doc Severinsen, remember him from the Johnny Carson band? God bless. Bob Ewing, remember Bob Ewing from the Newlywed Game? Amy Dolenz, that's Mickey Dolenz's daughter. Jimmy Page, of course, from Led Zeppelin, of course. So many great. Craig Middleton, King Charles III's birthday. Sandra Argento, my good friend out there. Happy birthday, wherever you're doing. Guys, we want to thank our friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is a place, buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Our good friends from Ace. Check it out. They got some great, take care of the little guys. That's what Ace is all about. Guys, remember, buy local, shop local, support local establishments, support live entertainment. And if you're offended with anything about the other show, just because you're doesn't mean you're right. But mostly, it's important to be nice to everybody. Get along. Have a great weekend, everybody. Don't forget to check out Terry Newsom's podcast Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Get on his Facebook page. Like it, guys. Ringo Starr. John Lennon says peace and love. We need it more than ever. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be cool, be calm. And Nick Sahajas, the piano man, take us out, everybody.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from Tony O.
Hey.
Thanks everybody.
Good.
Thank you, man. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Peace, buddy. Thank you. God bless.